success being misconstrued, I said I needed to differentiate this particular success I'm talking about. This is already an international bestseller. So you have that category, but there are those ones who will tell you, okay, this one can be an international bestseller, but we need to panel beat it. Actually, you don't write it. You let the potential reader write the book because they know what they want, they know what will touch them, they will know what will transform them and what clicks with them. That's my prayer and my wish, that anyone hearing, watching, listening should be able to answer those questions in a positive or affirmative way.
What is it that I'm actually looking for?
Do we really know life?
Sure. But let me say intelligence. Emotional intelligence, social intelligence, financial intelligence.
So I believe it's important for each and every one of us to understand the rules that govern any arena of your life.
You are listening to The Revenge of the Forsaken Gods, a podcast that explores the human experience and seeks to create a blueprint for living using books, stories, movies, and conversations. And here is your host, Andrew Balongo Opere.
Welcome back to the Revenge of the Forsaken Gods podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Balongo Opere, and you're just tuned in to part 3 of a conversation that I have been having with Dr. Emmanuel Mango, the author of The Good Success: How to Cultivate an Impactful, Fulfilling, and Value-Driven Life. In part 1 of the conversation, we spoke about the inspiration of the book. In part 2, we spoke about the success framework that he came up with. And finally, in part 3, we speak about how did he come up with the title and subtitle of the book, the lessons as a result of bringing the book together, and some of the strategies that he went through in order to bring the book in its final form. So in case if you are an aspiring author, this is a must-listen for you. So enjoy the episode.
You know, you have a very cool book title, The Good Success. But I'm just wondering, this is probably not version 1, How did you settle on The Good Success?
So, I think The Good Success is version 3 of the title, evolution of the title. Where it started is from that article that I talked about. How do you select, develop, and maintain effective leaders? So when I was thinking about that book, because that was the mother article that led me to now start writing this book, I still thought it would be in that line. Like, even if it is not leaders, could be employees or workers of people. Like, how do you select? How do you select, develop, maintain good people, So that was the line I was thinking through. But partly after I came to that understanding from the book, from the quote that I told you about Benes, the best leadership writer and teacher, who said that the way to become a good leader is to become yourself. So I said, okay, I need to go beyond the leadership, how to select, how to do this. But I was still stuck there in a way because I wanted to bring in that aspect of what distinguishes people who are good, who are enjoying good success, from those who are not. So the second title was Differentiator. And that became the working title. For those who are in the book business, understand by when you say working title, is the title that stuck through all the process of writing. It was the differentiator. Even at home, my kids were always saying, he's on the differentiator, when I'm writing.
Sounds like an action movie. The Differentiator.
Yeah. So that's where I was most of the writing time of the book. It was called The Differentiator. But I felt that it's not covering up the ground well. There was something missing. So at seeing this thing is tending to talk about success, but of course, from the explanation I talked about success being misconstrued, I said I needed to differentiate this particular success I'm talking about from the other successes that are out here. So that's how the aspect of the good success came into place. And after I'd looked at it, I looked around to see are there books or articles that have the word good before something, and I was encouraged that the good success in actually first and foremost there is a phrase like that in the Bible, the good success. Secondly, there was a project done by Harvard professor Howard Gardner, the writer of Multiple Intelligence. He has a project running for many years called the good. Is it the good life? I need to confirm that. There's another one, but not by Gardner. It's called the Good Life Project. Then there is another one called the Good Energy Project. So the good something. So I was encouraged. I was in the good company.
Yes.
Good thinkers would call their things good something. So said, yeah, good success is a good title. So that's how we settled down to it. And I will, I know that you have not asked, but I will move quickly to the subtitle.
That's what I was going to ask, you know.
How that came about.
Yes, how to cultivate a fulfilling, impactful, and value-driven life.
Yeah. Wow. So when you look at, when you're writing a book, you also read about how people develop titles and develop subtitles. So for a long time, again, I'd settled on the subtitle of this book being how to get important things done. You remember action? Mm-hmm. Because I knew any book that is going to make any impact or change, there must be action. So I was interested in even naming this book something to do with action, because without action, the rest are just good stories. So I thought the title of this book would be How to Get Important Things Done. But after listening to a number of podcasts and other writers reading articles, I discovered that a subtitle does two things. One, it is a promise to your readers. So what am I promising my reader? When they read this book, what are they getting out of it? So that's one aspect. The second aspect is that a subtitle is, again, beyond the promise, communicates the content. What's the content in the book? So whereas how to get important things done is a good one, but I thought it was not communicating fully the extent to which should be in the book. So that's how I began thinking about the subtitle. So one day I had to go to a garage to repair my car. So I'd been thinking about this subtitle for a long time, starting to figure out elements. Okay, there is impact here and there is fulfillment. So how do I glue it together? So that was the framework as I was driving, and I think my mind was, and I think it's good always that driving is a subconscious, because I was just thinking about title. I reached the garage, I handed over the keys to the mechanic, and I looked for a place to sit. Luckily, I had my laptop. I started typing titles here and there. And eventually, how to cultivate an impactful, fulfilling, and value-driven life. Some version of the same. So I had very many versions. By the time I was leaving the garage, I had the subtitle. So I would say it's good to go to the garage. Just a joke. You get ideas started there. So that's how we came up with I came up with the subtitle, which is how to cultivate a fulfilling, impactful, and value-driven life.
Yes, and it's interesting you share that, because it shows the process of what it takes to come up with the final product. So maybe before we go, maybe you could just share a few key lessons that you learned in the process of this journey. What were some of your takeaways? What would you tell Mango of day one? Was it 4 years ago? Like if you had to give a list, how to write a fulfilling and impactful, value-driven book. What would you tell Mango if you could distill it maybe in...
That's a good title. We should write such a book. How to write this book.
Okay, so this is the first chapter, introduction.
So I would wish to give that list, but it's very long. I would just focus on one or two things on how to write such kind of book. I would say is that actually you don't write it. You let the potential reader write the book, because they know what they want, they know what will touch them, they will know what will transform them and what clicks with them. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, as soon as you do the first draft, other people even don't do the full draft, but for me, I did the draft. I shared it with, and it is still raw. Even I told the readers, I told them, don't look at the grammatical mistakes, because we are not at that level. We are evaluating the idea, the concept. So look at that. Because if you focus now on whether this sentence is written correctly, we will get lost, because we are not yet. It is a process of writing a book. So I told them that your focus is look at the bigger picture. Does it communicate? Is it sensible? Is it communicating? So I had about 17 people who looked at the book and gave me feedback on. And the good thing when I had sent to 25, the good thing when 17 responded. The good thing when you have 17 people, you will have cheerleaders who just tell you, this is nice. At least those will encourage you, You need them. It's not that you don't, actually you need them. Because they will at least tells you there is something. Then you have those ones who are looking at it and say, okay, here, there is something, but I'm sensing something, but I can't feel, I can't get it. Could you make it a bit more accommodating, more welcoming? Could you elaborate? So you have that category. And I think you need both. Then you have those ones who give you a list and say, okay, it doesn't make sense to me. But they don't say where doesn't make sense. So the good thing, when you send to many, then you have all these buckets. You have the cheerleaders who just tell you, this is international. I've never seen a book like this. Even you have not finished writing, they're already telling you, I've read many books. This is already an international bestseller. So you have that category. But there are those ones who will tell you, okay, this one can be an international bestseller, but we need to panel beat it. So within that list of 17, I was blessed to have those. But of course, there was one or two who also said, this one doesn't make sense to me. So all this put together, they helped me write a book. And I would say people help you to write a book. Going back to the first statement I said in terms of when you asked me that question, is let the reader write the book they want to read. So by involving them, and helping them sharpen. So when they say, for example, I remember one of my staunchest supporter called Dr. Nafula. She has bought 21 books. No individual has bought 21 books. She has bought 21 books by herself because she says this is a life-transforming book. Every family member needs to get a copy, and the people she's mentoring needs to get a copy. So why do I mention her? Not just because she has bought 21 books, but one of the things she told me the title of the book does not represent the whole content in the book. I disagreed with her. I maintained the title. She loves it. But there are also other things she told me that I agreed with her and I changed, and I can mention a few of those. So one of the things she told me that I needed. No, I think the one that has come to my mind that it's not how told me. There's another doctor called Dr. Simiyu. Told me, for me, I'd put my titles very short. You see, I would say purpose. I wouldn't add the explanation. Motivation, full stop. I thought the briefer the better. But the doctor told me, no, we need to have a snippet. When you say purpose, put something after purpose. And that helped me. And when people now read the table of content, they understand what I'm going to discuss. When it is character, say something about character. When it is competence. So that is an input by Dr. Simiyu, who helped me look into that and be able to make changes. One of the things that Dr. Nafula said that I also changed, I loved the word tribe when I was talking instead of community. So I would use your tribe. I was not meaning that your ethnic background, but the people around you, Americans, also love using that word. So the doctor told me, no, this is Kenya. This word tribe, in as much you are not using it in the context of ethnic background, people have connotations and have feelings about that word tribe. So I followed her advice and removed it from the book. It was used extensively. Removed it from the writing. So we now brought in the aspect of community rather than tribe.
You're right, and it does sound better, from what Dr. Simiyu said, because, you start off saying chapter 1 is becoming, the triad of the good success. 2, purpose, how do I live a meaningful life? 3, character ethics, the power of values in driving impact and fulfillment. 4, competency, critical skills for success in a changing world. 5, motivation, how do you motivate yourself and others? And action, how do I get important things done? So I see you still snuck in your how do I get important things done?
Yeah, it became, in book writing, they usually say something that does not make it as a title, subtitle can be a title of one of the chapters. So it's still in order.
Wow.
Yeah.
This has been a very awesome experience for me. And, just wondering, I normally like finishing my discussions with what are 3 movies that you're watching or 3 series. If you watch movies or series, if you don't, what are 3 books you're currently reading or 3 books that have impacted your life? I know you've mentioned already Animal Farm by George Orwell. And what are 3 artists you're listening to and maybe songs that come to mind? They might be either current or maybe your all-time favorites.
I think let's mix them up, whether they are books, as long as we get to 3.
Sure.
Could be one book, one song, one. But I hear you. So movies, I think generally I don't watch movies. But when you get kids, as I said, kids teach you stuff. they want to watch movies. So I usually sit in when they are watching. And we have recently watched a movie called Migration. It's an animation movie. It's telling a story that could actually be drawn back to the George Orwell story, because this is migrations of birds trying to move away from being slaughtered, being made food. They migrating, moving to a different territory. So I think that movie, because again it dovetails into George Orwell's story. I liked it. Just watched it, big cinema at the Junction, and really enjoyed it. So kids really bring you into that space where you have now to do a few things you don't normally do.
Yes.
Books, again, as I said, we are reading with my son, who is 10 years, 9 going 10, The Animal Farm, because I think it is a very educative book. I've been doing books in the part of the a book club called the Men's Book Breakfast. I've done books like Think Again. I've done books by recently by Simon Sinek. Start with Why. So those are some of the things. Songs, again, like movies, they are not my things. But I like good songs. I get some songs. Lately, I've been listening to Kristen Shusho. I've had a bit while she was here during Christmas. Yeah, I think that's as far as I go with that genre of music and songs and videos and such. Yeah.
Yes. Something that I like to ask, if you got an opportunity to collaborate with an author on a project, and you are not limited by money, distance, or death, where you can work with someone who's passed away and somehow you'll still be able to do it regardless of the country they are in, and money is not a factor, which 3 people would you love to collaborate with on a book, and why? Why do you choose them?
They must be authors.
Authors or whoever you'd love to collaborate on a project with. Yes.
I would, one of the person I think I would, of course everybody would say this because he's the richest man in the world, but I think I find him interesting. Elon Musk, for 2 reasons. One, he embraces this first principle thinking, which is a physics thinking. Secondly, I just wonder where the man gets all the time to do all these things. You know, he is like the best in all industries, you know. But not even that. He's like also the best in terms of the number of children he has in America, given the other rich people. I think the guy has like 7. He carries his kids around going for meetings, you know. Where does he find time, you know, to do all these things, and not just do them like mediocre, but do them perfectly well? So for that reason, beside, of course, now he has made money, but how did he make the money? The process behind it, you know, first principle thinking, working. He used to say that if you work 80 hours a week, you'll definitely get ahead than a person who works 40, which is the normal working hour. So he works 40 hours a week. I don't know if he still continues, but when he was building up, he used to work. And he tells a story of a girlfriend when he got one of her girlfriend and wanted to visit him. The guy was sleeping in one room, I guess, office. It was not even a home, it was an office. So this guy would work and sleep there. So he told the girlfriend, if you really want to be with me, this is where the work happens and where the life is happening. You come, we sleep on the floor after working. So that's it. The guy's been working. So sometimes we see these quite successful people, especially after they have become successful, but we forget the story behind it. And so I would want just to understand how he's doing all these things. Yeah.
Yes, Elon Musk, if you get a chance to watch or listen to this, Dr. Mango is an author. It would be a nice collaboration with an African author.
Yeah, and this story is actually in the book under competence, because the guy is very competent in engineering. He's not like just a boss, do this. He goes to the trenches. So those are some of the things. But if we look in the past, George Orwell, writers of The Animal Farm, I like Socrates, I like philosophers mostly. Yeah.
So outside of Elon Musk, you'd also love to collaborate with Socrates and George Orwell.
George Orwell's. Mostly philosophers in that line. Plato, there is a story of Plato that have always remained on my mind. The allegory of the cave. He gave me a framework of thinking of how people see things. You might be looking at the same thing, but because of your background and how you came to this point where we are all looking at the same thing, that also has an impact on what you're seeing. And that has been very helpful to me, especially around the area of not judging people harshly, cutting some slack for people, accommodating wide views, because we all come from somewhere. We look at the same thing, we are looking at the same thing, but we are giving a different story of it. So I like the philosophers generally, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more things before we sign off. Number 1, who is this book for? Who is this book intended for? Because you focus, I've heard about managers, I've heard about employees, but who are you targeting with this book?
So the primary person for this book is an individual who wants to be and do more with their life. Be and do more. So that's the primary target. I have a good feeling that it will be very good for people who are at the place where they are considering their careers. Either they are changing, they are thinking about a career. They need to do a deeper thinking and say, okay, I've spent 10 years in engineering. It's not working. But before I go into business, I need to pause and think, because I might reach into business, 5 years, spend 5 years, and again after 5 years, I want to move into something else. So I have a very good feeling from the responses I'm hearing that it could be also very good for people who have come at the crossroad in their careers, who are thinking, which way do I go? So even if it's not a crossroad, even for students who are choosing courses, I have a very good feeling that it will be good for them, because it will make them think. It will make them think that motivation is not something I'm going to find there. I have to go with it.
You have to discover and then pack it for yourself.
And go with it to the employer's office.
Yes.
It's not something the employer is going to give me.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think this book would be really helpful because people talk bad about Gen Z, saying, they just quit because I feel like quitting, This place is affecting my mental health. Yeah. But you've provided a framework where discussion can be had, where people can articulate their internal motivations and even have a conversation with their manager and employer. So, wow. And the last question I'll ask before we'll ask where we can find the book is, what are 3 things you've written that you'd like to share from the book as quotes? They don't have to be someone's quotes, but what are 3 things that stand out for you? And I know everyone that we ask this question will say different things. Yes, what are 3 things that stand out for you that you can share from the book?
Wow, it's like asking a parent of 7 kids, which one stands out? Which one stands out for you?
Don't worry, this is our first interview. I'm going to ask you this question again. So for today, For today, what's your favorite? What are your...
So a parent will definitely say, the 7 kids. Because he has emotional connection, attachment, he brought them in this world, they all stand out.
Sure.
But that aside. I think I will say that purpose, even before I received a feedback from beta readers, I wrote it, I think, 3 times to see that it makes sense. And I think it is the one that had even less corrections from the readers because they were getting it. In fact, one said that purpose is a book by itself. We need to remove it and make it a book. And it was a critical mind. It was not the cheerleader type. Said this one alone it's good enough to be a book. So you have 7 books here. You have put them into one. Why do you do that? It is more profitable to do 7 books. Each one of them is a book. I said I need to put this information in one place for a person picking it. So purpose, I think I wrote it enthusiastically. I wrote it from my heart. I wrote it with a view of knowing that it's going to transform someone. Because I also I was convinced that without purpose, we spend a lot of our time on aimless, on non-important stuff. Yes, we are doing stuff, but are we doing what we ought to do? So that stands out for me. The other thing that I loved is the action. And it was also the most difficult one to write because there was points out there in other books written how to take action. But you see, the way I've been writing this book, I've come from the position is, if these things are there and people are not doing them, then why should I add other points similar? And still people will not do them. So I thought deeply about this action. It was very difficult in terms of research. It was one of the most difficult ones to find a framework to put it together. So for that reason, because it was difficult, I love it. And I think it is going to be motivating and inspiration to people here. So finally, because you said 3, the rule of 3, I would have stopped at the second, but this is not a single thing, but I also love how I was able to transform the thinking into graphics, the pictorial representations in the book, to be able to explain the various aspects of the book. I think that's also something that I put in a lot of time and effort, and I like the way it came out. Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of those.
Yeah.
And indeed, you have a mantra of which only you listening can be able to verify this, that Mango's purpose is to inspire people and organization to live meaningful lives. So if you've interacted with Mango or you buy his book and read it, has your life been more meaningful as a result of his actions? We can only know this if you email us and interact with us. Mango, how can they buy the book?
Thank you. So there are several ways. It's also the same question, how can they reach me? So I have a website. So it's www.emmanuelmango.com. So that website, first and foremost, is one place to even know where you can buy the book, but it's also the first place where you can buy the book. So if you are around East Africa and you want a hard copy, you buy the book, you also put the detail where you want the book to be delivered, it can be delivered. That's one place. The second place where you can buy the book locally, it's Nuria Bookstore, which is in Nairobi CBD on the first floor. So there are two ways you can buy books from there.
First floor of?
Bazaar Plaza, Bazaar on Moy Avenue. So there are two ways you can buy books from Nuria. You can actually go to the bookstore itself and buy a physical book, or you can buy it on their platform online, then it is delivered to you. So those are two ways you can buy it. The other way you can buy a book is at Ufungamano Bookshop. Ufungamano Bookshop, it's on Yaya, it's at Yaya Center on the second floor. So Ufungamano Bookshop, Yaya Center in Hurlingham on the second floor. You'll find a book there. So then finally, this book is on Amazon. So if you want an e-copy, Amazon would be your plug. You get it on Amazon, but still on Amazon you can also still buy the paperback, which is the hard copy. So those are the many ways you can buy a book. But in case the readers or any person that he didn't get all these places, he can go to the website, then he will get information to all these other places.
And you mentioned that you've given, a gift on your website of the purpose clarification tool for those who have not yet bought the book, but they can access it and get to answer some questions about purpose. But you also have a bonus for anyone who buys the book.
Yeah.
What is that bonus?
So the bonus for the person, the first one is free because my purpose is to inspire people and organization to live meaningful life. So as part of that, I've put the tool, which is the purpose clarification tool, to be free. It's not attached to anything. So you just go on my website and put in and be able to access it, the purpose clarification tool. But for the people who are buying the book, I'm also giving an addition bonus, which is my purpose story. I want you to be able to embed your purpose in a story. It makes it more concrete, more meaningful. Then it brings in the aspect of how are you going to implement the purpose. So that's my purpose story. It is the tool that you get when you buy the book.
Okay, and where can you be found on social media if people want to email you, comment, give feedback about the book?
My favorite one is Twitter, where I call myself at Atoms of Reason, at the Atoms of Reason. I'm on LinkedIn, my official name, Dr. Emmanuel Mango. I'm also on Facebook, Dr. Emmanuel Mango. But I think because of all this a person can forget, the plugin, I think one place you can go is the website. Then you'll find the roads leading to all these things.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Mango, whose life purpose is to inspire people and organizations to live meaningful lives. He's written the book, The Good Success, How to Cultivate a Fulfilling, Impactful, and Value-Driven Life. And he offers an alternate roadmap and framework against the traditional success, which you will gain whatever it is you're gaining, but there will still be a hole. And with the good success, he provides a framework where you are able to unlock more than just what the traditional success offers. Is there any last words, any last quote, any takeaway you want to share before we go?
No, thank you very much. Once again, I wouldn't say as a quote, but I think it's important to reflect on these three questions. Alive, and when you are coming at the end of your life. When you are living, and when you come at the end of your life. So, am I impactful? Or at the end, have I been impactful? Am I fulfilled? Have I been fulfilled? Am I doing it right? Did I do it right? The second phase would be easy, to answer if when you are living you answered those questions, not when you're coming at the end of your life. So am I impactful? Am I fulfilled? Am I doing it right? That's my prayer and my wish, that anyone hearing, watching, listening to us should be able to answer those questions in a positive or affirmative way.
Yes, I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts. Please, I'm on social media, on Twitter, Revenge F Gods, Facebook, Revenge F Gods, YouTube, Revenge F Gods, Instagram, TikTok, Revenge F Gods, wherever you watch your content. I'd love to hear your feedback. What is one thing that Dr. Mango said that just blew your mind away or just got you thinking? We would love to hear your feedback, because as you've heard, as a result of his 17 people that gave him feedback, the book is what it is. It is your feedback that causes us to be able to improve this listening and watching experience for you. So again, Revenge F Gods on all platforms. Comment, has this been inspiring to you? Are you inspired to explore living a meaningful life? Get the book today. It is available worldwide, whether online or offline. You've had it. Dr. Emmanuel Mango has been our guest, author of The Good Success. Thank you very much for being on the Revenge of the Forsaken Gods podcast.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me. I look forward for more interactions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Asante sana.